Greetings, esteemed visionary community in Russia. I am very excited, and it is my great honor to have been invited to welcome the artists and guests present at the International Visionary Art Exhibition and the Visionary Art Award in Moscow 2018. And I'd like to extend a big thank you to the organizing committee, as well as visionary painter Oleg Korolev, for having been wonderful messengers and communicators. Visionary art has forever held a very special place in human history, as it deals with the very questions that have facilitated the evolution of our consciousness. It dates to the time of the cave paintings, where shamans were depicted in the trance state and in the process of shapeshifting, all the way to today's global contemporary visionary art that still examines our place on Gaia, our physical and spiritual existence, the interrelations of all life, and our place in the universe. I believe that it is safe to say that so-called visionary art is the longest uninterrupted art current on the planet and deserves a brief chronological history here. It has, throughout time, produced visions of heaven and hell, the ancient past, mythology, as well as visions of the future by such great artists as the 11th century German mystic Hildegard von Bingen, the great-grandfather of visionary alchemical art in the 15th century, the Dutch Hieronymus Bosch, the 16th century Italian Arcimboldo, the 18th century English visionary mystic William Blake, the 19th century painter of the little people Richard Dad, the French symbolist Gustave Moreau, and the fabulous Russian Pavel Chelychev with his X-ray visions of the human body systems. Enter the 20th century, and here I'd like to mention some representatives of surrealism, as it is very close cousins with visionary art, such as the German Max Ernst, who produced fantastic beings and landscapes, the Catalan Salvador Dali's hand-painted dreamscapes, the English Leonora Carrington's realms of magic, the Spanish Remy Dosvaro's singular universe. Ernst Fuchs, one of the founders of the Viennese school of fantastic realism, portrayed the Judeo-Christian realm and mythological themes and taught the Mish technique as devised by the brothers van Eyck to the German-Israeli Matti Klauwein, the New Yorker Robert Venosa, the Austrian D.S., the American Philip Rubinoff Jacobson, and the British Bridget Marlin. The 60s of the 20th century brought us a political, cultural, consciousness, and psychedelic revolution in the US, which greatly inspired many of these painters, including the Australian Wally Myers and the British Roger Dean. And Matti Klauwein soon became one of the quintessential psychedelic artists in the US and was later followed by my late husband, the fantastic realist Robert Venosa, best known for his light-filled canvases of the astral planes and otherworldly landscapes. During this time, visions of the light were as always contrasted by depictions of the shadow side in the works of Beksinski, H.R. Giger, and Judson Huss. The 70s brought us the California visionaries with Clayton Anderson, Gage Taylor, Cliff McReynolds, Nick Hyde, and Bill Martin, while in Europe the French chapter of visionaries such as Alain Margotton, Roland Quatre, and Yves Thomas took up the relay. In the early 90s, a new spirit entered, with the awareness of a changing global ecology and an increasing shift towards materialism and human alienation from nature. An at first underground renaissance of the 60s took place in the US and in Europe. Part of this was the dance movement and underground raves, as well as large gatherings such as Burning Man. The younger generation was looking for new connections and meaning in life, and once again, a consciousness movement in philosophy, art, and spirituality developed, which also included the renewed experimentation with psychedelics and sacred plant medicines. With this was now born a new festival culture that would include all forms of art, but predominantly combined music and the visual arts and made Alex and Alison Gray the artistic leaders in this field, followed by a younger generation including Andrew Jones, Luke Brown, and Amanda Sage, who studied with Michael Fuchs in Vienna and later became an assistant to Ernst Fuchs, as well as many more artists, too many to mention here. Today, this movement has become global and has taken hold in many countries, creating a true youth culture, but has also offered ideas for cultural alternatives to all ages. One of the primary cornerstone of it being the perception of humanity as a global family and a focus on neo-tribal mechanisms, including mutual support, shared celebrating of life, and many forms of shamanic techniques. Which also brings me to the introduction of ayahuasca art to the West. It first became known through the efforts of Luis Eduardo Luna, who published the work of our beloved elder Pablo Amaringo, Peruvian shaman and painter. He was followed by his students, most prominently Anderson de Bernardi. The latest generation of artists portraying the spirit of the South American sacred plant teacher is bridging indigenous art with Western styles, and it is best known through our guest of honor, Luis Tamani. Amongst the great contemporary independent creators hard to class are the US visionaries Andrew Gonzalez, Maura Holden, and Chris Cooksey, as well as other artists who are representing very distinct visions, such as the Italian Agostino Aralbabene, the Russian Yaroslav Gedjedovich, the Polish Thomas Alan Kopera, and the Japanese Roku Sasaki, only to mention a few. The list is long, and I wanted to take at least the time to point to the impressively huge and varied expression of visionary art, and I do not, unfortunately, have the time to mention all artists here. My personal place in this family tree, I feel, falls into the category of the independents. A world citizen since my childhood, I grew up in different cultures and have lived in various countries around the world. My career began when I met my future husband and partner of 30 years, the late American visionary painter Robert Venosa. And inspired by his breathtaking work, I took up painting myself. My early work was inspired by my personal spiritual quest and later by my experiences with the indigenous shamanic practices with plant medicines in the Amazonian rainforest. My more recent paintings are pure reflections of my personal experiences with the light as well as the shadow, namely working through loss and grief I experienced throughout the past years. And the new work seems to be more universal in a sense of lending inspiration from any and all cultures, all executed in a symbolic, visionary style where the fantastic touches the sacred. Overall, and from the beginning, my art has been distinctly feminine and still places the universal woman as well as the human being and her confrontation with the other side in an intimate cosmos, where the awareness of our connection to the universal matrix allows us to discover the very tools for healing and transmutation and transformation. I feel that visionary art is timely and important and a very important expression of our current place and evolution, and offers us portals and gateways into other imagined or envisioned realities, as well as showing us possibilities on how to resolve our impasse and open to larger and more enlightened state of beingness, where all living things will know their interdependence, respect their interconnectedness, and where we will honor our connection to the divine. In this pursuit, art appears to be a tool for transformation and offers us the opportunity to create a reality as beautiful healthy and strong as our imagination can see. Today, we have many wonderful organizations that represent and exhibit visionary art worldwide. I'd like to mention a few in closing, such as the Society for Art of the Imagination, AOL, with their UK and US chapters, founded by our respected and beloved elder Bridget Marlin. Dreams and Divinities out of Paris, France, chaperoned by the American visionary painter Liber Waring Stamboullion, and the new Swiss Association Art Visionnaire Montreux, created by Pavlina Boroshova. I'd like to also honor the schools such as VAVA, the Vienna Academy of Visionary Art, founded by Lawrence Caruana and Florence Menard, who offer their students the possibility to study visionary art and culture with a staff of international artists, as well as all the artists around the globe who have dedicated their energy to teaching technique and consciousness to assure the continuous high quality of visionary art. And at last but not least, our global visionary art community is blessed with a few exceptional museums that well represent the power and beauty of visionary, fantastic, and imaginary art, such as the Ernst Fuchs Villa Wagner in Vienna, the H.R. Giger Museum in Gruyère, Switzerland, the Gray's upcoming Entheon Museum in upstate New York, and the Nayer Museum in Rochefort-en-Terre in France. A proud family history, I believe. And with this, I give you the International Visionary Art Exhibition and Competition, the International Art Exhibition and Art Award 2018. And I hope that this first-time event will become a powerful and inspiring institution for many years to come in Russia. I wish you a great event, great sharing, and please enjoy the art. Namaste.